Hello, back again with the third video, just to give my thoughts on day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival. Starting with the Turners Novices Chase, which could be a 3 or 4 runner field. You go through the list, you've got Bob Olinger, Gaillard Du Mesnil, who both look like they're turning up here. Bob Olinger definitely hasn't been... this is the only race he's entered in at the Cheltenham Festival now, I think. He was taken out of the Brown Advisory yesterday. Gaillard Du Mesnil looks almost 95% certain to come this way. Allaho Presse looks like he's going to go for the Brown Advisory. Like I touched on though, in my day 2 preview, I think his form's got a lot to be desired. Allaho Presse, I know he's won comfortably in all his starts, but I don't think he's as good as the top 2 in this market. Better judges than me think he'd have a chance if he went for this race, but this video is all about my opinions, and I think this is a match race between the top 2. After Allaho Presse, you've got Brave Man's Game, Jungle Boogie, Horton Colours. You know, I don't know where Jungle Boogie's going in fairness, but Brave Man's Game's going for the Brown Advisory. Horton Colours and St Sam's going for the Arkle. Gaillard Du Mesnil's going for the Brown Advisory. Blue Lord Arkle. Imperial Alcazar is going for the Paddy Power Plate. El Barra, I don't know where he's going, but I've seen a couple of shrewd people backing him each way at 250 to 1 a couple of days ago, anticipating that this race will cut up and that he might, if it's a 3-runner race, he only has to jump around to get that anti-post 3 place bet up, the 50 to 1 place. He's 33 to 1 now. I think everyone's kind of latched onto that method or that technique. I didn't jump on it. Capodanno, he's going for the Brown Advisory. Fury Roads, Brown Advisory. Statler, National Hunt Chase. Busselton, Paddy Power Plate. Present and Counting, I've never even heard of this horse. So it's going to be a ridiculously small field. No matter who runs in this race, I think it's going to... It's a match race regardless, isn't it? Bob Olinger and Gaillard Du Mesnil look 2 superstars. They both look like they were superstars over hurdles, and now it looked like Bob Olinger, you'd probably say, was the better hurdler, of course, but now it looks like it's went the other way over fences, and Gaillard Du Mesnil looks the better chaser. I think Bob Olinger will win this. I think the slip suits him more. I do think he's the better horse. I don't think his jumping's as bad as everybody's saying. Maybe it's not as good as Gaillard Du Mesnil, but I think he'll be able to keep tabs on him. And I think if he's in contention jumping the last, I think Bob Olinger will have too much toll for Gaillard Du Mesnil, and keep it simple, Bob Olinger wins for me. The next race on the card is the Pertemps. I usually leave the handicaps till the end, but I'll do it in chronological order this time. Winter Fog's well found in the market, 6 to 1. He's Kevin Blake's nap. And also David Mullins, put him up as his nap at the festival or his nap at the Thirsty, which I thought was interesting because he works in Emmett Mullins' yards, I think, riding out. So maybe this is a horse who's being laid out for this race. It looks that way. If he's ridden a little bit more patiently than he was at the Dublin Racing Festival, of course, he's got a great chance at 6 to 1 with that interest yet in a Pertemps. Depends what type of gambler you are. The one that interests me the most in this race is Alaphilippe. He's only had the 1 run this season off the top of my head, and it was outrageously eye-catching. It clearly wasn't out to win. It was given a very soft time. Yeah, I thought I'd just double check, but Alaphilippe has only had the 1 run this season. Listen, I fancy him at 8 to 1. He's well found in the market, but this has clearly been the plan all year, and I think he's going to be a lot better than the weight he'll be carrying. I think he's a good horse. Gordon Elliott always does well in this race. He's got Sire de Berlay coming back here. Sire de Berlay, of course, already a 2-time winner of this race, and then finished second in the Stayers Hurdle this time last year. So we know that Sire de Berlay absolutely loves the stamina test of this course and distance. He should be bang there. I think Rob James is going to be claiming 7, which would be valuable. Couldn't put anybody off him. And then you've got the likes of Sully Berg and Falcano also for Gordon Elliott. But for me, keep it sharp. Like I say, I don't spend too much time on these handicaps, but Alaphilippe would be the one for me. Moving on to the Ryanair. Listen, this is simple. Allaho just wins, and he wins comfortably. If I have to say something differently, I'd say Janadil will be the one to finish second, but I won't waste any time on this race. He's an absolute certainty, Allaho, and I just hope he stays on his feet and goes and bolts up and gives us another impressive performance like we seen last year. Moving on to the Stayers Hurdle. Listen, this is full of horses who are hit and miss, so I think you've got to just ask yourself here, if all the horses turn up on the best form on the day, who's the best horse? In my opinion, it's Classical Dream. I stick with him. Like I say, you can throw a few stinkers in here and there, but so can they all. Time Hill's probably the most solid out of all of them, but I always feel like there's going to be one better than him on the day. He'll certainly run his race, Time Hill, and I wouldn't put nobody off backing him, but just for me personally, I think Classical Dream's the most talented out of these. I know Florian Porter won it last year, but I've never really been a big fan of this horse. I don't think he's won a race since. Champ, I've never really been a big fan of this horse either. I do think he's got a lot of class, but he's a 10-year-old, same with Paisley Park. Royal Kahala, will she get her grounds? I keep this simple. I think Classical Dream will go well here, and he will be my selection. I've put him up in these videos. I've backed him with my own money, and I'll be praying for him to get his head in front and turn up on a going day. Song for Someone at 50 to 1, I think he's interesting. He hasn't tried this trip. I'm always interested to see horses going up and trip, to see how they'll cope. He's looked like he'd get 3 miles on his performances over 2.5 miles in the past. So, yeah, Song for Someone could be one lurking at a bigger price at 50 to 1, but it would be Classical Dream for me here. Just keeping it super fast on this day, not to drag on, because be here all day talking about some of these horses in the Paddy Power Plate. Like I say, another handicap. Just personally for me, I think Imperial Alcazar and the Glancing Queen could both go well here at around 8 to 1. I don't think Fergal O'Brien's ever had a winner at the Cheltenham Festival, but I think he's got 2 amazing chances on the Thursday next week with Allaho and Imperial Alcazar, who won impressively last time over course and distance, I think it was. So couldn't put no one off him. I've backed him, and I've also backed the Glancing Queen. Like I say, I've backed Fantasticas in the Ultimate on day 1. So if he goes in, it's a good pointer towards the Glancing Queen here. The same form line. I know I was kind of knocking this form line before when it comes to La Home Presse, but that's when I'm talking about grade ones, taking on the likes of Brave Man's Game, Bob Olinger, Galopin de Champs. I think for handicaps, that could be a good form line to follow. And it could be a nice little double, Fantasticas for the Ultimate and the Glancing Queen for the Paddy Power Plate. I think she's got a right chance here. Going through the rest, I can't go over them all, of course. I don't even know what's going to a 100% run. Grand Paradis, I don't think he jumps well enough. I think he's been a disaster over fences. Fusel Raffles could go well. I'm not sure if he goes here. I'd assume so. He likes good ground. Like I say, I think I'll just move on for this race. So, but it would be the Glancing Queen and Imperial Alcazar for my money. Moving on to the Mares Novice Hurdle. I'm a massive fan of Brandy Love here. Hey, I didn't think I'd ever say that on camera, but I am. I've put it up in these videos very early at 25 to 1, only a small stake, but I'm quite heavily invested in it on my own bets. Mostly at 8 to 1. I wasn't too ambitious to back it too many times at 25 to 1. But I was really impressed with her debut, and then I started topping up. I think she takes the world of beating here. She is a bit of a nutcase, but this is going left-handed. It should suit her. She's got more experience than Dino Blue. And yeah, I'm a big Brandy Love fan. Her and Dino Blue get the weight off Party Central. I think that's going to be a big factor. Party Central is going to have to be delivered very late. Davy Russell actually said she's going to have to be delivered right on the line. He's the perfect man to do so, but I think she's going to have a big task on her hands here. I really fancy Party Central for the County Hurdle on the Friday. I'm devastated she's not going that way. But anyway, sticking to the top 2 in the market, I think it's a match between Dino Blue and Brandy Love. I've got a preference for Brandy Love. I'll be rooting for her. Grangie is quite interesting. Brian Cooper thought he had the field covered when he fell in the Sol Arena. The race that was won by Allaho Devassi, the race that also had Brandy Love in. Listen, Brian Cooper can think that all he wants. For me personally, I don't think she looked like she was going to win that race, but he was the man on board. I suppose that's an interesting bit of information if you fancy her. Statuaire hasn't really went on since she won the Royal Bond. Like I say, I think this is a 2-horse race. Dino Blue, Brandy Love, but it's Brandy Love for me. The final race on the card is the Kimyor. It's another handicap. I wouldn't have a clue with this race. Schoolboy Hours is apparently down as a steamer on odds checker here, so maybe that's an indication that he goes to this race and he'd have a right chance here. I think he was well fancied for this race this time last year. I think he was put up by both Gavin Lynch and David Jennings on Up in the Ante. He didn't end up going. There was talks about him going for the Ultimate maybe, but maybe due to odds checker here, he could be going for the Kimyor. If you listen to the preview circuits, which is what I do for most of my handicap bets, because I just don't like delving into handicaps at all. Frontal Assault sounds unbeatable. He's got Rob James claiming 7. I think they were gobsmacked he even got into this race. He could be chucked in. I'm at 4 to 1. He could still represent value. You've got Smoking Gun. He'll be ridden by Jamie Codd. Like I touched on with my Braeside selection in video 1 for the Tuesday, anything Jamie Codd's riding in these races is worth anybody's money. Ain't That a Shame comes here with some good form. I think he finished 3rd to Statler and Fighter Allen, which could be good form coming into a race like this earlier on in the season. Mr. Coffey's interesting. I think he's trying this trip for the first time, going left-handed. He's always been well regarded by Nicky Henderson. I think Sam Whaley-Cohen's been booked for the ride. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. He's 14 to 1. He could be worth the punt. But yeah, I don't ever really have a strong opinion on these type of races. But by all accounts, Frontal Assault seems like he's a banker. So let's stick with him. So just a recap for my bets on day 3. I think Bob Olinger will beat Galopin de Champs in the Turners and La Presse if he turns up there. I'm a big Bob Olinger fan in that race. In the Patemps, I'm an Alaphilippe man. The Ryanair, I think Allaho, I think he wins comfortably, and I think Janadil will finish second. I'm keeping the faith with Classical Dream and the Stayers Hurdle, but I think Song for Someone could be one lurking at a big, big price. But Classical Dream for me, I've always had a soft spot for him since I backed him in the Supreme. Which feels like many years ago now, but I think it's only 3 years ago. But I do love the horse, and listen, if he can keep his cool and turn up on a going day, I think he takes the world to beat, and I think Classical Dream's the best horse in that race. The Paddy Power Place, the Glancing Queen and Imperial Alcazar will do for me, both at around 8 to 1. The Mare's Novice Hurdle, Brandy Love for me, and the Kim Muir will go Frontal Assault, as he seems to be a banker. So yeah, that'll do for me on day 3. Good luck to whatever you're on. See you soon for day 4.